Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Postman. Hey, my fellow developers. I'm using Postman to reach my endpoint when it comes to test an application behind an OAuth2 authorization mode. And I think this is something that makes sense to show you. I also wrote a tutorial that explained that, so let's discover it and configure Postman. To start this tutorial, you need to have Postman, so you can download the application or use the Postman on the web. For your information, if you are using Postman on the web, we will need to change the Keycloack configuration. Then you need to have a running Gipster application. You can generate one with Gipster or with the Entando component generator, or you can directly use the sample app we provide in the Entando Sample repository. Whatever, be sure to always use the OAuth2 authentication mode. So now we will follow this tutorial, use Postman with OAuth2 APIs. I will add the link into the video description. And here I have my Postman workspace using the web version. So what I need to do is to create a new Postman collection just by clicking here, give a name, my collection, and select a type of authentication mode. So here we need to select the OAuth2. Then we need to define the different variables we will need to use this OAuth2. So I put it, the different values, variable and the default values, you have to use if you are using the Blueprint Entando application. If you are not using it, you can change the values according to your configuration. If you don't know the different values, you can still check the well-known endpoint. I'm filling the different variables as is, copy the variable name and the value. Please note the last base URL variable is not used for authentication purposes. It will help us to define the different endpoints for our request and avoid to copy and paste everywhere the base path. Now I can save my modification and go back to the authorization tab. So here I will not change anything on the top. We will change the configure new token field. The token name, you can put anything that works for you. So for example, it could be my token. We don't change the ground type value. And for the callback URL, we'll go back after that. Then for the auth URL, it's quite simple. You just need to use the variable we defined before. And the same for all the different fields. As I said, if you are using the Postman Web version, you need to add the callback URL in the authorized list of the callback URLs. So what you need is to access directly to your Keycloack configuration, to sign in. Then you need to go into your client configuration, and in the valid redirect URLs list, please be sure to add the one provided by Postman. If you are using the application instead of the web version, you can use any values you already have in your configuration. For example, for me, it could be HTTP localhost 8080. Now it's time to generate a new token. So what we need to do is just to click on the Get New Access Token button here to authenticate ourselves. So here you need to use the username and the password you want to generate a token for. So if my user is Anthony, I will use the username as Anthony and my password. So here I will use the default admin account we have with any Gipster project. It's admin and password admin. If you want to test with a different user, this is where you need to change the username and the password. So my authentication is complete, and if I proceed, I can check that my token has value with an access token. And I have all the different also attributes that comes with my tokens. But what we want to have, this is this value. I can now click on use token, and I will be able to define different requests and make them work out of the box. So now I have to click on my collection here and click on add a request. And here we will try to get the bank accounts. So I define the name as bank accounts. In the authorization tab, I just need to select the inherit auth from parent. And I can check that in the headers, I will have the authorization ones with the bearer value we got from the authentication step. So now I can use the base URL we defined before and then use the bank accounts here. Click on send and it works. I can add multiple requests using the same pattern. Add a request, define a name, labels, use the base URL and define the endpoints. Be sure to select the inherit auth from parent and check the header is present and click on send. And it works. Sometimes you can face some errors when you send a new request. For example, here, if I'm clicking that, I can see that I have a 401 unauthorized error. It's just because for security reasons, the access token has a short timeout. To handle that, we have the refresh token that we should use to get a new token. Unfortunately, Postman doesn't handle that for the moment. So this means when you are facing that, the only solution you have is to go back to your collection and click on get new access token. You should not need to log again, but you will be able to have a new token value. Click on the use token button and send the request again. With this tutorial, we covered the basis to use Postman with the OAuth2 application. If you have some tips or some good practices that you want to share with us, please feel free to add some comments under the video. And if you want to be notified when a new video is released, be sure to subscribe and activate the notification. See you soon for another great video. Bye bye!